Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, kind of, I don't know. Almost half of April was spent in LA, in California specifically. And so a lot of reading had been kickstarted because I was traveling. I don't know. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I end up reading literally like 5 pages. Like Bali, if you guys watch that vlog, you will know that I literally read like 5 pages of Yellowface and then finished like half of it on the flight back. And yeah, and then the other extreme is like this US trip where I ended up reading almost 10 books, I think, in like those like 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. But yeah, crazy. Like I was doing so much. I think it's also because like with Bali and like other places, it was like a place I was visiting for the first time, or like I was doing like touristy stuff. But like with LA and even SF, kind of like I've been there before. I lived in LA for a couple years, so like it wasn't like a like it was vacation, but it wasn't like tourism. Like I wasn't like going and seeing like, I don't know, popular landmarks and stuff. I was literally just going and doing the stuff and seeing the places that I hadn't seen in the last 3 years and the places that I missed. Mainly the food that I missed. But yeah, anyways, less than half of April was in LA and SF. So a lot of reading is from that time, but most of the reading that I did do in April was from before I left for the trip. So yeah, anyways, let's get started with the wrap up. In total, I ended up reading 13 books in April and 4,074 pages. This is also like technically, like if I work, because I was in LA time, like I did read one more book before it actually became May for me there, but my story graph is set on India time, so I don't know. Anyway, I'll just talk about the books according to my story graph, but I did read one more book and I'll mention that book in my May wrap up, I guess. But yeah, so I read 13 books in April. I read 4,074 pages. My top 3 moods were emotional, mysterious, and reflective, which is interesting. Emotional, I get. Mysterious, I don't know. Anyways, mostly medium-paced books. All the books I read were fiction, as it tends to be. My top 3 genres were young adult, LGBT, queer books, contemporary books. So I mean, yeah, I did have a lot of young adult books and a lot of queer books in April, but also in May. Like since I read one of the books, which I'll talk about later, like I have just been going on like specifically a very sapphic romance book binge, and so you will see that soon. But yeah, I did read some books through audiobooks and ebooks just because it was easier when I was traveling, but a lot of them were also physical books. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 of the books that I read were physical, and then 2 were ebooks or audiobooks. I did listen to a lot of audiobooks while reading the physical books just because I love doing that and it's easier. And especially when I was traveling too, like some of the books I was reading, I was also listening to it while walking around. So yeah, my average rating was 4.04, which is great. And this is what my day-to-day reading looked like. A lot of ups and downs. Yeah, a lot of crazy ups and downs. But yeah, as you can see, towards the end of the month, I did my reading did skyrocket, and it continued skyrocketing, and right now I'm in like a very bingeable reading phase right now, and very happy about that. But I also know that with this will come a slump at some point, and I'm not looking forward to it, but what can you do? But yeah, I'm enjoying reading a lot of books right now, and yeah, basically. Yeah, so that was it for the stats part of the wrap up, and now we will get to the books. So, the first book that I read in April was Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. If you guys watched my March wrap up, you know that I had been in a little bit of a mythology phase or something. I read Palace of Illusions and I think one more book that I can't remember, but I think I read like one or two mythologies, and so I continued that mood by starting Ariadne in April. Yeah, I enjoyed this. It was good. The writing was good. I liked like the foreshadowing aspect in each like big plot section, I guess, and like seeing how I feel like this is like a sign, like not a sign, like a theme. This is a theme in all the mythologies, with like the foreshadowing and like already knowing what they shouldn't do or what is going to happen, and then seeing how it ends up happening, I guess. So I enjoyed that part. I also enjoyed learning about Ariadne because I had no idea who she was or like what her story was, or like, you know, with Dionysus and like things like that. I didn't know anything about her before reading, so I was happy to learn. And also, you know, it was nice to see like other characters from Greek mythologies that I haven't read about in a while. So yeah, nothing like great though. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it was a good read, and I enjoyed it, but like this was my May 2021 book of the month book, and I think there was like no other option that I was into, so that's why I had ended up choosing this as my book. And obviously, since it's now May 2024, I almost like 3 years went by with this sitting on my shelves. I would not have picked this up, I think, if I hadn't gotten it in my book subscription. So yeah, it was a good read, but not very like it memorable in the sense like there are like some scenes that I obviously can vividly picture in my head, but like not something that like I'm gonna like think about for like so long. I don't know. Like, yeah. Anyways, first book of April was Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. After this, I went to my Christie book of the month. I've talked about it in all my wrap-ups, I think, but of this year, but I'm trying to read one Agatha Christie book a month, and this month's book was After the Funeral by Agatha Christie. I mainly bought this because of the cover, but like it's not even, I don't know what it is about the cover, because it's not even like a great cover, but I really like this font. I don't know what it is, but I like the font, and it's some sort of limited edition, so yeah, seemed interesting. And yeah, this is another Hercule Poirot book. I think this is like, I can't remember, I think it's like way in the later, because I think there's like 40-50 books in the Poirot series, and this is like in the 30s or something. So yeah, definitely not reading them in order, but it's fine. I enjoyed this one a lot actually, and I thought like I didn't guess it number one, which ends up always giving, I always end up enjoying books that, mystery books specifically, where I can't guess the ending and like the who did it or like the why and how of it all, basically. Anyways, second book of April was After the Funeral by Agatha Christie. I hadn't heard much or anything actually about this book before I started it, but I really, really enjoyed it and I didn't guess anything. So yeah, would recommend if you're interested in mysteries and or interested in reading more Christie works. I enjoyed this one more than Death on the Nile, which is popular and like has a movie adaptation and stuff. So yeah, I recommend this one. I enjoyed it. So okay. Book 3 of April. Also one of the 3 books that were my favorite books of April. And it was so good because, and like all 3 of them were so good that like I literally cannot choose one. Like don't make me. So anyways, book 3 of April was She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. Yeah, I don't know why I waited so long to read this, because I mean I did get this book in the last year, so it's not that long, not as long as Ariadne, but before this book was even out, as soon as I had heard the synopsis or like, you know, just heard about it, I knew I had to read it. So, but I am glad in a way that I didn't read it then, because obviously the second book hadn't come out. Me saying that as if I've read the second book already after this, but I haven't. This doesn't end in a cliffhanger, so I would say I could have read this when it had come out, but I didn't because I wasn't sure if it would end in a cliffhanger. But yeah, so freaking good. If you don't know what this book is about, go check the synopsis, but also just know that it's like Mulan vibes, but also sapphic. Yeah. I read somewhere somebody I think had said like Mulan but gay, and like very much so. I loved all the characters in this. I loved Ma, obviously. She's my favorite. I will protect her with everything that I have. I love her. I love Chu. I don't even know. Like, it was just so well written. It is a very, not heavy, but like there's like so much that happens, and like I think it's dense. It's like there's just so much happening that like I needed a breather after this to like read other books and like read like light-hearted stuff and all before I start He Who Drowned the World, which is the sequel of this and the last book in this duology. I did end up getting it and I'm hoping to read it in May, but we'll see. Yeah, like it's insane. It's so good. Milan but gay. Like, that's literally all I can say to convince you to read this. But like, it is fantastic. One of my favorite fantasies for sure. So go read it if you haven't. And yeah, if you need more convincing, I don't even know. You can go check some of the annotations that I've posted on my Instagram, but literally, yeah, I don't know. It's so good. Yeah, one of the 3 books that were my favorite books of April. So, and book 3 of April. So, She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. Okay, book 4 was another, I finished that and I was gonna be like, okay, time for like lighthearted, time for like, you know, less dense, less thick books, I guess. And what did I pick up next? A 500 fucking book about World War II. And yeah. Anyways, book 4 of April, All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This is very famous. There is a Netflix series out, which I haven't seen, but maybe I will see. Yeah. Insane. I mean, this was also like so good, and like everybody said it was good, and I knew it would be good, and it was good. But also, I don't know, like this is the kind of book that is not my kind of book. Like I don't pick out these kind of books in general just because this is not the ones. I don't know, like historical fiction I don't really read a lot, but yeah, or like war fiction, I guess. So yeah, I probably would not have picked this up unless, I don't even know, like I only picked it up because the publisher sent me the book, and I'm very glad they did because I loved it, but it's not something I would pick up on my own, I guess. But yeah, world war fiction, yeah, it's literally like, you know, there's all these like little things happening, like plot points, and then you see them all connect and like come to this like very brief but very like life-changing moment, and then like you see the aftermath of all that transpired in that brief moment, I guess. But yeah, very good, very well written, like yeah, so good. I am not a war fiction or historical war fiction type of person, and I loved it. So, and yeah, if you're looking for, you know, heartbreaking sad books but that are like insane and like so good and so well written, you should check it out. Yeah, so this was book 4 of April. Okay, after this, finally, after the 2 fucking heavy, dense, sad, insane books, I finally went to some light-hearted, some tiny books, and ended up finding my second favorite book of April, which was A Psalm for the Wild-Built by Becky Chambers. Yeah, very tiny. It's like less than 150 pages. This was book 5 and 6 of April, and literally, I think I read both of them in a day, or like I read them in 2 days, but both of them were read in one sitting, and I absolutely loved both of them, and I will be checking out everything else written by this author. But basically, it's a science fiction book set way in the future, and like it's about a monk and a robot, and like they like travel together, and like I feel like I shouldn't even say anything. I bought this book before knowing what it was about, and I'm so glad, because, and I think I was like a little hesitant to pick them up because I didn't know what they were about. All I knew that it was a monk and robot book, which confused me. And I'm also not someone who reads a lot of science fiction, even though my favorite book of all time is a science fiction book. So I really should get into it more. But anyways, changed my life. Both of them are like hugs in book form. Like I literally felt like I was being hugged. I felt comforted. I felt so warm and fuzzy and like just so safe and secure, and just comforted. Like, I don't even know. Very, very good books. I really loved it. I think you should just go in blind without knowing anything about it. Like, anytime you're feeling like you need a hug or anytime you know, are feeling anxious, or like you don't know like what's gonna happen in the future, you're anxious about the future, or like just any like troubles, I guess, read these. They came to me at the perfect time, and just I love them so much. Like, yeah, my favorite book of second favorite book of April. But yeah, A Psalm for the Wild Bit and A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. Very good books. Book 5 and 6 of April. Right? Yeah. Yeah. 5 and 6 of April. And then after that, I went back to mystery books and mystery / dark academia books. And finally read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This book, literally, I don't even know what to say. I've had this book for a while, but like I've also wanted to read this. Like, it's been on my TBR for like the last 2 years at least. But yeah, it wasn't available in India, and then it came to India, and then obviously I had to get it, and then it proceeded to sit on my shelves for months, and then I finally read it in April, and I'm so glad I did, because it was insane. Like, if you're looking for dark academia, mystery, you know, books, this is the one. It's so freaking good. Yeah, I didn't guess it, and I was shocked with the way it transpired, and the ending, that twist at the end. Yeah, insane book. Yeah, I'm very excited to read the author's other works. I have heard of one, I think it's called The Last Housewife, which is like apparently even better than this. So yeah, loved the writing, loved the mystery, and like didn't guess it. And I mean, I guess some things, but not like, you know. Yeah. Yeah, excited to read this author's other works. I think I found myself another fave mystery author. So yeah, highly recommend. So good. Yeah. This was book 7 of April. Okay. Book 8 was another mystery, a very, very, very popular book, a book talk book. And yeah, don't want to talk about it too much, but I'll just... We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I hated this book. I hate it with a burning passion. There was a lot of problematic stuff in it. The writing style was different and fine, and like just, I think, I can't remember which part it was, but like I think after a certain point, or like the last like 50 pages or whatever, like the way some of the descriptions, first of all, was just crazy, but which was fine, but like also would have loved seeing any trigger warnings whenever people mention this book, but I've not seen even one of them. So wish I'd read the trigger warnings beforehand, or just not read this book. But yeah, and then yeah, a lot of problematic stuff that I did not enjoy. Yeah, I don't know why people recommend it. I will, yeah. So that was the last book that I read in India before I flew to LA. On the flight to LA, I ended up reading Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This was specifically, I read this specifically because I had tickets to go see the screening for the movie adaptation of Turtles All the Way Down at Festival of Books, which was being held at USC. But I was too tired. I was jet lagged a little, and just I had other things going on that day, so I wasn't able to go to the movie screening. So cannot tell you guys what I thought of that, but I did end up reading the book and I finished it, and it was a good book. I enjoyed it. I think my only issue was very personal with me being on a flight and already being anxious because I'm traveling for I'm like in a plane for 20 hours. So I was already like anxious, and then the book is about anxiety and like OCD, and like the descriptions of it were kind of making, I was already up here and then it put me up here. So this made me more anxious and stuff. So wasn't the right time to read it, but also I landed the day before the screening. So yeah, I landed the night before the screening. So that was the only time I had to read it. Yeah, I did enjoy it. I thought it was good. Yeah, not the right time to read it for sure. But other than that, I enjoyed it. And I will hopefully watch the movie at some point and let you guys know what I think of it. So, yeah. Okay, after that, after Turtles All the Way Down, I ended up buying a book. My first book that I bought in LA. Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie. Yeah, so if you saw my SF vlog, you would have seen this book. You would have seen me starting it, finishing it in a day. Yeah. This book had been on my TBR for a really long time. I think since I first saw the cover of the book, it had been on my TBR, but it wasn't available in India, and so I didn't end up reading it until now. And I knew it was a book that I wanted the physical copy of, so I waited, and I'm glad I did because I really enjoyed it. This was so fun, and it kickstarted my whole sapphic romance books journey that I'm on currently. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, loved the writing, loved pretty much everything about it. I mean, I did finish it in a day, literally on the first day, on my first day in SF. Yeah, if you like young adult books, if you like sapphic books, if you like books about friendships, you should read this. It's so good. The first book that I bought on my trip, but I finished it, so you know, it's not gonna sit on my shelves waiting to be read for years. So that's good. This was book 10 of April. Yeah, and like I said, the book started my sapphic romance binge, but also my Raquel Marie binge. So the second day in SF, I ended up literally going on a hunt for this book, which is You Don't Have a Shot by Raquel Marie. Oh, look at that. I got this at Y'all West. I literally, after finding this and after coming back to LA, I went to the Ripped Bodice, the store, and literally there was one signed copy of this left with this, and I was so sad because I already had the book, so I couldn't get this, and I was telling Raquel about it at Y'all West, and she was like, you can take one here. And so yes, very exciting stuff. I'm excited to put that up on my wall. Signed this one too. Oops. But yeah, You Don't Have a Shot, Soccer, Rivals, Gay. I don't know what else to say. This also, I didn't finish this in a day. I think it took me 2 days or 3 days. I don't remember. I think 2 days. I bought this on my second day in SF and I finished it right before I left SF. So yeah, Rivals to Lovers, soccer camp, summer camp, you know, so good, so good. I like this one even more than Ophelia After All, and I knew I would, because like even while I was reading a little Ophelia After All, like I'd seen this and I knew I needed this. So yeah, love it. So freaking good. I don't even know what to say, except go read it. Literally, it's so good. And also, yeah, as I was saying, I went on a hunt for the paperback because there is an extra chapter at the back. My 11th book of April. Go read it. It's so good. And also the author just came out, I mean not just, like it's been a couple of weeks, but she came out with her 3rd book called This Is Me Trying, which I need to read as well. I read 2 of her books in like 3 days time, so I'm giving it a bit of a rest because I don't want to be out of her books before I even hear about the next one. So yeah, waiting for that book to come as an audiobook, because I love me an audiobook, and because Raquel Marie is doing the POV, like she's narrating one of the characters in the book. So I'm excited for the audiobook of that book. But yeah, that was book 11 of April. So after I finished You Don't Have a Shot, I went back to LA and I started an audiobook of another YA kind of non-mystery, it's like spy YA book, which I really enjoyed. It's called Stars and Smoke. It's by Marie Lu, aka the author of literally one of my favorite series, Legend. But yeah, I knew Marie Lu was also going to be at Y'all West, so I had to read her book. So I ended up reading Stars and Smoke. I got this on audiobook and I listened to it like, I think in a day or 2, and like it was so addicting and so good and just insane. Like it's a pop star and a spy and they have to work together to like go on a mission basically. So very fun, very fun. And the sequel of that comes out sometime this year, so I'm really excited to listen to that, and you know, I am sure I'll enjoy it. And yeah, I will say there was very little romance, but I'm hoping the sequel, which comes out sometime this year, will have more, will give us more about the relationship and how it progresses. Yeah, looking forward to the sequel. But yeah, book 12 of April was Stars and Smoke by Marie Lu. The last book, also the 3rd favorite book of April. Literally took me most of the month to read this. Not most of the month, but like 2 weeks, I think, at least. More than half the month. Because I started this book before I left for the US and then finished it like on the last day there, or like one of the last days of April. So yeah, I obviously have heard a lot about this book. Not like about, I didn't hear what it was about, but I had seen this book a lot on Bookstagram. But like now that I've read it, I still don't think it's enough. I feel like everybody needs to be reading this. Everybody needs to be talking about this. Yeah, like this book, insane. I don't even know what to say. Like, first of all, met the author. As you can see, I met her at Your Best. She was so nice. I literally, yeah, the nicest person, the nicest conversation I had with her, and like, yeah, she was just so nice. Anyways, the book. Like, the book was already insane and already so freaking good. Like, I think I read like up until part 3 in like while I was still in India, and then I'd gone, and then literally, yeah, I read till part 3 and I'd gone, and like I didn't have time to like immerse myself again into this world until I came back from SF, and like I had time to myself for a couple of days, and like I literally just did not do much. I was like in my hostel just like sitting on one of the chairs and stuff for like hours, just reading. And like towards the end, like this book was so freaking good and mind-blowing like throughout, and then you get to like the last like 150 pages and it's like, what am I reading? Like, what just happened? Like, I did not see that coming at all. Like, it's so well written and so good, and it's just, the last 50 pages literally blew my mind. Like, I was literally sitting in front of strangers like in the like common area in my hostel, and I was like, I was literally, I wish I'd recorded myself, because I was probably looking like a crazy person. Like, I had like my hand in my mouth and I was like looking away from the book, and like just very, very, you know, obvious reactions to whatever the fuck was going on in those last 50 pages. Like, yeah, I don't even know. I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like you shouldn't even like know anything about the book, but like I didn't read anything about the book, or like I didn't read the synopsis and stuff before I went into it, but I'm very glad for that. I went in blind, and you know, it absolutely rocked my world, blew my mind, changed my life, all of the above. But yeah, if you do need more convincing, I will be posting some of my annotations for this soon, hopefully. But honestly, it's so insane. Also, I literally could not wait, and I started the second book. I finished this end of April, and I still had like what, 7-8 days before I came back to the US. Came back home to India, and my second book was here, so I didn't have it. So I literally got it off of Libby and like started reading it on my iPad while I was still there, and I read like 50 something pages while I was there. And I'm like now trying to slow my roll, because there are 2 more books in this series, and the 3rd book is going to be out sometime next year, so we don't even know when the 4th book will be out. And so yeah, the waiting game has begun, which is why I'm trying to slow my roll and read this slowly. I haven't picked it up since I got back. Yeah, and I've been told that the cliffhanger in this is like insane, I guess, because like in this there is a cliffhanger, but like it's not like a very, you know, immediate, like I need to know what happens kind of thing. Like, it lets off kind of nicely, which is why I was like, okay, that's good. But then I didn't want to be out of this world. Like, it's so good, and I needed to know what happens, who she, ends up with, and like, not even just that, but like just like moments. I want to see more moments and like more progression in the relationships, and and also just like what happens with her, and like, yeah, I can't say much without spoiling. But so I had started this, but I'm gonna slow it down, and yeah. Anyways, insane book, changed my life. I've said that already. Go read it. Like, literally, I feel like every single person needs to read this. If you are even a little bit of a fantasy fan, like you like reading fantasy, you need to read this book. It's gonna change your life. Yeah, anyways, last book, 13th book of April, Legend Born by Tracy Dion. This book, yeah, and also the third book in my 3 books that were my favorite books of April. So these are the books, my favorite books of April, and most of the books that I read in April. A lot of physical books being read, which is great. May has so far had more ebooks and like audiobooks, just because I was in such my sapphic romance binge. I still am, but like I didn't have any more sapphic romance books with me in LA, so got them off of Libby and read a lot of them, and will be reading more soon. But yeah, definitely not gonna be buying any books anytime soon, just because I literally came back with a suitcase full of books, like one suitcase that was just books. Yeah, so no more buying books. But yeah, hoping to show you guys my Y'all West book haul and my trip book haul, I guess, combined soon. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your favorite books of April were in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.